You've been lazy not doing yours, yeah?
Behave.
Carl, good to see you. Tell us about the preparations this week, because the weather can't have been the easiest.
You just I've just told you when I walked in. No, we've had difficulties, as you'd imagine. We've ended up training at the Cliff. Lucky enough, just around the corner from Littleton Road, the historical training ground, which the Cliff has still got the indoor facility, which we've been very, very thankful. The problem you've got is it's only 50 yards wide and I think only 80 yards long, and I can honestly say to you, the size of the opposition's pitch at the weekend is going to feel a lot bigger than that. So we've had to do our best to give ourselves the greatest opportunity to put a performance on, but we're very thankful we've got somewhere to train.
Didn't think of phoning up Pep and asking for one of their spare pitches, no?
No, we did. Think about asking the question, but we thought it was a little bit stupid. We got asked to play them in a reserve game last Monday, and gladly declined that one as well. But we called Manchester United, and they've been brilliant. Like I said, they've allowed us to train at the Cliff. We do have that flexibility. We're very lucky with our training ground, almost just being around the corner, that we don't have to waste too much time getting ourselves across there. So we've been able to do a little bit of work. As you can see, we can't even train on our pitch out here because of how difficult it is with the weather in the northwest.
What about for you then this weekend? We'll come on to the club as a whole, but for you as a head coach, as a manager, what does it mean for you to be going up against?
That's nothing to do with me whatsoever. I think anyone who knows me personally knows that I only ever work for the players. My responsibility is to make sure that they're prepared in the best possible way, that there's no pressure on them, they embrace the challenges that the game will challenge them with. We look at two elements of winning. There's only one important aspect, and that's the result. But when you come against a team that's so strong and they've got so much quality, that we have another side of winning, is that we don't let ourselves down, and we maximise every ounce of energy that our body allows us to put on the football pitch. We move as a group, we press in the right way, we try and stop the opposition, and if we do all of them things that are the controllables at the weekend, in my mind my players will have won. The result will be a byproduct of that, granted, but the result is always taken out of your hands with the quality of the opposition.
Where do you kind of even start when you look at facing an opponent like Manchester City?
I've been lucky to manage against them 2 or 3 times before, and on them occasions it was always difficult, as you know. But for me, it's a case of making sure that we are true to who we are and what is the Salford identity. It's hard working, it's aggressive at certain stages. We try and keep the football for as long as possible, but in the opposition's half we always try and pass and run forwards, and we try and mirror that same sort of philosophy regardless of the opposition. We did a passing drill this morning, and I tried to say to the players, you won't have this at your feet too often at the weekend, so when you do, you've got to respect it, and you've got to make sure that you don't give it back to the opposition as easily as what we have done in recent weeks in the games that we've played in. So I think the preparations for these games are quite easy because the quality of the opposition is obvious. I think their movement patterns are so good that you can almost see them consistently. Maybe at our level, there's an unpredictability to the opposition, how they get into your final third, but there's a consistency to the Man Cities or the Premier League teams that allows you to coach a little bit more. But still, you'd always know that a moment of genius by one of their top players, you can always find yourself getting beat because of that. But we'll back ourselves, we'll try our best, and that's all you can ever ask for.
You spoke a lot about identity, and I've heard a lot of very passionate post-match interviews with us this season on Radio Manchester. And it seems to me that kind of a year on from coming here, this club really is. I think you've got this club, but this club's really got you as well, hasn't it?
But I've just been speaking to somebody else before. I think the manager's responsibility when you go into a football club is to try and immerse yourself within the culture of the football club that you're working for. Like, we all have our different ways of playing. We all like to think that we can reinvent the wheel and do things in a one-dimensional approach. But I think it's actually looking at your style, looking at the identity of the fans, looking at the identity of the football club and the ownership, and try and almost integrating your style with the culture of the area. So I think that's quite. Listen, being from the northwest myself, I think that's been quite easy for me. All my other football clubs have been down south. It's been a little bit different trying to learn about that. But I've tried to make sure that what we believe in and what the area believes in is part of how we play. And you know what? We're honest, and that is all encompassing of what I want my teams to be. Is to make sure that there's a transparency to their performances that is relevant to the people who come and pay and watch us week in, week out. Do we pass the ball? Do we rotate? Do we try and find weaknesses in the opposition? That's part of just my job. But the other part of our job is to make sure with the ownership and the staff and the players that we're true to who we are.
It's a different era, I know, but of course your MK Dons side pulled out a fantastic result 4-0 at Manchester United quite a few years ago now. Do you look at moments like that in your managerial career and lean on those this weekend?
No. Ryan told me I was lucky that day. But whether it be West Ham beating them 4-0, I've had some really decent results against some teams, but I've also had some horrific ones. I've got beat by Chelsea quite convincingly. I remember Ronald Koeman thinking he was going to make multiple changes and play the strongest team at Van Dijk, Mane and all them played. I was at the end of a hiding that day. So I've had every type of result. Draw and taking them to replays, which obviously don't happen anymore. I've had some big defeats, some big wins. So I've been lucky. I've done this for long enough now to have quite a mixed bag of results.
And just finally from me, you mentioned Ryan Giggs there. We know the class of 92 are around the training on the club regularly. But what's it been like this week? Has there been any extra special bits?
No, not really. No. None that I can tell you. No, we're so lucky. Like, you look at the class 92, obviously own the football club, and I think again the way they have been since I've loved every second. It's only been 12 months that I've been here, and it's something that when I first came here, it was something that a lot of people sort of asked questions why. And I've loved every second of it. I think because of the way the ownership is as well. Very, very honest. This is what's to be done. This is how much you've got, and that's what you need, and that's by when. And I think because it's coming from a footballing background, I think that doesn't half help when you manage that, or what's it called now, head coach now. We're not managing no more as a head coach. So the transparency and the honesty of the ownership it's made my job easy. And having Ryan around and Paul around and Nicky around, especially at the beginning of the season, that helps as well. That can't be a hindrance. That's surely got to be a help for us to have players of the calibre I've just mentioned in and around you every day. And some would argue and some would say, well, hang on, the players who own the football club would love to go toe to toe with probably the Man City team. It's been a great game for everyone. So maybe that when you look at that, for as much as what we're really looking up to the team that are playing at the weekend, we're also owned by arguably some of the greatest footballers we've ever seen. And I think that helps our players going into these games, that they're surrounded by that quality every single day.
Because they're on the training pitch a lot, aren't they?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's great. And they care. They really, really do care. And I think that is a lot of owners care, because obviously they put an awful lot of money into their clubs. But this is coming from a footballing background, and I think they really enjoy being a part of it. We're going to really enjoy the game, whatever the outcome is at the weekend. We're going to make sure that we try and do our best for our football club.
Good luck.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Oh, cheers. Addict to coffee.
Hi, Karl.
How are you?
Good, thank you. The pressures of management, we've seen Pep being pretty honest about it recently.
Not sleeping? Yeah. Do me a favour.
Not eating the scratches.
I don't worry about the not eating bit. I don't sleep. I certainly eat.
You were pretty good on that BBC podcast a few years ago about
Thank you.
What it does to you. When you see someone of that stature talking about it, do you look at that and think, I totally get that? And is it a surprise to you?
Yeah, I think the documentary that I did, I think everyone's got a perception of us. I think they think we're so robotic that we're emotionless to criticism, to results. I think people think that when we get beat, we go home and it's something that we don't ever take home with us. It can ruin your life. It really can. I think the LMA do a wonderful job to try and support us the best they possibly can. But the only person who can ever do that is yourself. And when you're questioning yourself, when all around you seems to be failing, sometimes there's nowhere else to turn. And even your most loved people that surround yourself with, they don't have the answers sometimes, and their worry for you is something you worry about even more, that they're worrying for you as well as getting beat and trying to find the answer to that, and you find yourself in this massive hamster wheel. I've been so lucky, I've done this over 15 years and I'm still 44 years of age and I'm still nowhere near the person that I want to be. I've still got so many more failings to happen in front of me. I've still got so much more success, hopefully. And all of these little sort of pieces of the jigsaw that you build within yourself make you a better person and fundamentally a better manager. So when you see the best of the best, which is what he certainly is, not sleeping through results and looking for different ways of playing, I've had many of them. Trust me, I was quite open in the podcast about that it's something that I struggle with. And when I first started, I tried to be something that I completely wasn't. I tried to be somebody else. And I struggled massively with different mental health situations, and it wasn't until that you actually look yourself in the mirror and really question yourself and who you want to be, does your transparency with you as a person, then that vulnerability that you can show with your players is also a strength. And I think I've had many nights of just looking at the ceiling, and I've counted many sheep trying to go to sleep, trust me, and I've had so many different things that I've wrote down that haven't worked the next game, and questioned myself a lot. And it's to see the best come out and say that, I think it doesn't half make all of us feel a little bit better about ourselves.
Were you surprised that he suffers the same sort of anxiety?
I think he's just a tremendous human being. Like I say, that I'm lucky enough to go up against him 2 or 3 times, and even when we were at Leeds last year with Big Sam, that you sort of see the quality, the person is what you buy into, I think, as well. It's why we're addicted to our game, because they're different types of characters, and he's certainly a character I feel anyway that I look up to as a person first and foremost. And then the talent of him is obviously, that's led by the amount of medals that he's had round his neck. So yeah, it's nice to know that it also happens at the top level. It's not just us to get the sleepless nights.
Is it helpful to other managers, do you think, to know that someone that good is going through the same?
It's helpful in every walk of life that we're honest with people and we don't build a facade that is a lie. I think it helps an awful lot. I think that moment that he speaks, I think a lot of people have sort of then looked at themselves and thought, well, if it happens to him, it can also happen to me. And again, that just shows you the strength of him as a person.
Can we just look at the wider picture of the club at the moment? Obviously, in really good form, third in the league, best chance potential of getting out of League Two, 5 seasons here. Club looking for external investment. You're going to get 5,000 fans at the Etihad, which is sort of double what you get here every week. I'm sure you'd like a few more. In the stands.
We would.
How important is this period where you could essentially, get more people?
Yeah, listen, I'm nowhere near. It's not part of my pay scale to speak about the ownership and the sale of the football club, but I think the club have been again really open with that. I think when you're winning and when you're doing well, I think it becomes an easier sell. For us, I think my responsibility is to make sure that this team keeps playing well, to make sure that the people above me and whoever that is with the money side of it find a suitable investor to support the beliefs and the dreams of the owners. People always think because the club has been put out there that the people are walking away. It's funny, the conversation that we had in the summer, they were so transparent that the Class 92 are never going to walk away from this. They see it as a long-term drive to make Salford or get Salford to where they want to get to. There's always been that synergy. People speak about Wrexham, but Wrexham have got over 100 years of history behind them and a fan base that is obviously, as we can all see now, filling out their ground week in, week out. That's not who we are. We're a completely new football club. We're 10 years old, only 5 years this season within the EFL. And we didn't have a training ground. Now we're training at Littleton Road. There's so many little things along this journey that we've improved year in, year out. And we hope the next part of our journey is to find an investor that can support the ambition of our owners and have that synergy amongst them, the ownership group, and the fans, and the players, and the coaching staff to make us or get us to the next level. And once you're at the next level, you're closer and closer to your ultimate dream.
Just specific on saying, having 5,000 away, how good would it be to get a few back here for the next game? I don't think
they'd be able to fit in here if they all come back. I don't know what they attended. What they 5-1. There you go. So listen, I think what this has certainly done, I think, is sort of it puts. Listen, when you're in the shadows of two of the biggest football clubs in world football, which is Manchester City and Manchester United, within the confines of where we are, we're always going to be in their shadows. The history, the success that they've had, the enormous worldwide support that they get. We're always playing in their shadows. But I think what this game certainly has done, it's certainly woke a few people up and gone, oh, hang on, they're doing okay. They've had 10 years. They've had multiple promotions. We haven't stalled. I hate that when people. I've only been here for a year, but even before me, whether it be Graham Alexander, Gary Bowyer, Neil Wood, Richie Wellens, all these managers before me have kept moving this football club forward, but maybe not in result at certain stages. Sometimes it has been the result, but when it hasn't been the result, they've still made the football club better. And I've just been lucky enough to have got at the back end of it, and everybody else's hard work, that we're getting a few half decent results.
Karl, when you looking at the general picture, as you say, we're only 5 years old, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when you got here and since you've been here, which is I think a year and 5 days ago, when you look at what's been achieved, how much does it take a breath away? Because this club we're in, he was stick nowhere.
Yeah.
Playing against Barnsley when class 92 first announced they were taking over.
I think it's to be applauded, really. Listen, when anybody's successful, there's always seems to be an element of criticism that follows success. But I think for me, well, it wasn't hard for me to get better because I got sent off after 16 minutes of my debut here. So there you go. I was serving a suspension this time last year for being stupid. So I look back at that moment, and if we would have lost that day, I think we would have gone into the bottom two. And I think I got the job. I got a job on the Friday, but we were playing a team below us. I think the other team below us won on the same weekend. And I remember getting a job on the Friday, and people said, well, do you want to stay and watch it from the stands? I didn't think it was right. I literally wanted to take over immediately, just to take the blame of the defeat and take the pressure off the players who've been playing. Always come in, the manager's lost the first game, put it on me, and then we can look where we go with the next few games. And obviously getting sent off wasn't part of the plan. But I think from then on, we've stuck together, we've worked hard, and by the way, we're nowhere near where I want us to be. It was the first time I've managed in League Two, and I really struggled early on. I really struggled trying to find a way of playing, and I think we went 10 games unbeaten. Then I started to coach, and we started losing. So I thought I need to stop coaching and going back to the basics. And I think all of these, every single game, I'm still learning about teams and levels and pitches and trying to find different ways of playing. But I think the players should be incredibly proud of what they've achieved. I think the owners need to sort of take a bow at certain stages, because to get the football club from where it was, you said the Evo Stick League and playing Farsley Celtic, leaned on probably metal bars, just to see how far the football club's come. It's rubbish to compare us to Wrexham, and I got compared all last season to Wrexham. It's nothing like Wrexham. This has never been done before, really. Maybe the likes of I think of teams who might a little bit of synergy with us, but maybe Fleetwood possibly down the road that you have tremendous respect for, that they've had a very similar journey, but we've all sort of stuttered around League Two, League One. And I think everybody involved should be incredibly proud of how far we've come.
Just thinking about back to the bus side of the team, guys. Was their presence here a factor in you taking the job? And can you share with us anything?
It was the only probably factor. It was one of the big, if not the only.
Can you share anything about your first conversations with them?
Yeah. Me and my missus it was New Year's Eve, it was New Year's Day. Kids were, as you know, around that time of hard work anyway. And we sort of got away on the 1st, and I got a phone call. We come to Manchester to do something, and I got a phone call, do we want to meet on I think it might have been the 2nd or the 3rd. They had a difficult result on New Year's Day. And I met them. I said, well, I'm in Manchester, we can meet later on, or the next day. And we met, and it was just so honest. It was so honest. And I said to you before, I still think I'm quite young. So when I look at other managers who are maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years older than me, I thought, well, I still need to learn here. And if I can't learn listening to people like Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs about argue playing for Pep Guardiola before, but people would also argue the greatest manager of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson. Just listening to little things and learning about that and listening to them speaking about some of their big games and how they dealt with that. And can you implement that into League Two in your own unique way? It was all about me learning a different way of coaching and managing. So that was a massive reason why I wanted to come here. And literally, when I met them, I went back to the hotel and went for some food, my missus, and she said to me, we were meant to get on the train that night, sorry. And I went, I don't want to go back. I want to see them again tomorrow. And we arranged to meet the next day, and we agreed. And people don't know this, I didn't sign a contract for the first 7 games. I was just doing the job without. I mean, we were going so long that it was like, well, they trusted me, I trusted them. That's the type of relationship that we started with. So it was just a case of everything was it was quite organic, and now it sort of fell. And I've loved it. I really have really enjoyed it.
And if there was sort of a few things that you had picked up from them, can you put your finger on it? In terms of your self-improvement, what you're talking about?
Yeah, the simplicity of the game and the basics. Can you pass forward? Can you run forward? Are you willing to eke every ounce of energy out of your body to win? And I think in what we try to achieve is just the fact that I just want my players to work the hardest they possibly can. And whatever the outcome with that, I can accept it. I think when I came in, I think I needed to be a little bit animated, a little bit more aggressive. I think it needed a shock because of where we were. And I think that we knew once the shock was, we can't always be that aggressive shouter. You can't always be that one who keep prodding all the time. I think once you've got the answers that you need, I think you need to stop that. And then, and you need to find different ways of whispering to them rather than just shouting at them. Because sometimes the quieter we are, the more people want to listen. But that's not as important at the beginning. So I think again that evolution of how we tried to adapt ourselves as coaches and as a football club, it wasn't as much of a necessity the longer I was here. You could start to relax then and not be this rant and rave who consistently gets booked or sent off, which I've probably done for the last 15 years. I think we could then start coaching and start developing. And by the way, we've got some hard games coming up, some really hard games, and there's some really good managers in League Two and some managers who probably deserve a bigger opportunity than where they are today. But our pyramid is for English managers or British managers is incredibly difficult to get to the Championship nowadays because of the influx of other managers that come across. But I can assure you, this is the first time I've managed League Two. Some of the managers and coaches are very, very good. Very good. And I think it's great that we get so much criticism as British coaches, but some of the coaches that you come up against on a consistent basis, it's getting so much better, and it's great.
Just in terms of the class of managers again, how good are they? Because they all have other commitments, don't they, outside of Salford City going down.
I think Gary has the ultimate commitment. Yeah.
Maybe a perception rightly wrongly that they're not as hands-on,
Well, they are. No, they are. I think that it always takes a documentary to see how hands-on Gary was at the beginning and how transparent he was with that, and the fact that so many other sides of his life was so big as well that he took a step back from that. Obviously Casper and Nicky then took over, and Nicky's obviously looking for other things to do as well, and now we've got obviously Ryan and Paul here all the time. But you know what the beauty about it all is that there's always that so much transparency with them, so you always know where they are, and they're always at the end of a phone. They don't overly phone you when you get beat. They don't phone you when you win. That stays consistent. The conversations on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday stay consistent. But I think that's just been part of their culture and their upbringing, that their message were always the same. It's funny when you're doing things sometimes when you're speaking to players and you're at half time, you're trying to say to one of your wide players, well, maybe if you do this, you look across the room, you see Ryan, you think, I think you might be better to explain this one than me. Or you're speaking to them in the training ground, you're speaking about trying to find passes through lines. And then you've got Paul sat there, who when we had a database company came in about 6 months ago, and I think Paul Scholes was a number one passer in Europe who got the ball through players. So how many lines he broke or players his passes went through. So you're almost preaching as a converter when you're seeing some of the greatest, I said to you before, some of the greatest players I've ever seen just sort of there on hand to help out I think you'd be naive and stupid if you weren't there to pick their brains.
But has it changed with Warrior since he's been on the bench at games? What's that like? Is it some sort of thing kind of intimidating?
No, not at all. But we do our job regardless whether there's X amount of thousand there or whoever the person is sat next to you. Like I said, I've had certain people who've been alongside me in the past that I've always enjoyed listening to their view on the game. The Ryan thing came out obviously when Alex and his family went through that horrific time, and at that particular time we had no other staff, so it's just basically me almost like doing the warm-up, everything. And Ryan again just shows the type of person he was. He said, "I'll help you." I was like, "What?" He went, "No, I'll help." And then he did 2 games, and we just felt that the dynamics, and he's really enjoyed it himself. And he's don't forget, this is somebody that's managed Manchester United and Wales. I think his record at Wales was okay at that particular stage as well. So his managerial stats. So you've got someone that's not only done what he's done on a football pitch, but as a manager, also has done really well. So would I not? I think I'd be a little bit stupid if I didn't say, "Oh yeah, please stay," because he might say something, or Alex Bruce might say something, and then I'll have an opinion. And what we'll do is we'll come to a conclusion together. There's certain things I think I have to act on instinct, and hold the burden of that, and take full responsibility for everything that goes on. Negatively, I always will. But I think when we're doing well, I think it's great that everybody can always be a part of that. The staff, the players, and it's something that's been again. It's another learning curve for me. Like I say, we played MK at the weekend, and you asked the question before about the Manchester United game. The last time Ryan was in that dressing room was his assistant manager of Manchester United that night. So it just shows you that he's done nearly every single job. He's assisted Louis van Gaal, then he's obviously took the job, and he's done the national team at Wales, and obviously the career he had was completely glittering. So, and he's just one of our owners. So we're so lucky, we really are, and it's but also I really enjoy working with the players. I think they appreciate what they say as well.
In terms of the Man City game, where does it sort of rank in terms of how big a game it's been for Salford? Obviously, you've only been in it 12 months, but the feeling around the club at the moment, playing the Premier League champions away at their ground, how does that rank?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think I wasn't here then, but I think I'd look at the game that they got promoted to the Football League was big. I think Stockport away in the playoffs was big. But this is big for a completely different reason. I don't think there's any outcome from this that should be negative, really. I think we should look at this as a celebration of how far we've come. It gives us national exposure, which is something that we haven't had before. So I think that in itself, I think you all know that the way the world is nowadays, that getting an opportunity of people of the calibre of the national press coming to Salford, that doesn't happen. So you get the eyes of the country because of the magnitude of the game. So I think that in itself makes this game massive for us, that we have to make sure that we hold ourselves in the right manner, and we look like a solid football club that knows what it's doing and has a plan moving forward. And that's part of this journey, is this game we're going to use as an opportunity to be better. We're going to have 3 or 4 of our academy players on the bench still in this competition. Hayes is the youngest ever player to play in it from a professional club perspective. So the competition so far, it's the first we've ever got. We've got the youngest ever player to play in it, and it's the first time we would have had this sort of exposure nationally, and even from a worldwide viewing figures. It will be the biggest game that people have seen this football club perform.
You mentioned the young players playing for yourself. When you come up against a team like Manchester City, are you secretly hoping they play a weaker side, you've got a better chance of beating them, or do you really want to play the best?
You want to play the best. You always do. You always do. Pointless otherwise. Not in a negative way, because let's be honest, their second string's not bad either, by the way. But I think that you really want to see your players coming up against the best players in the world. And like I say, the other year with Arteta, when we played him was Oxford at the time, he went strong. Pep went strong against Oxford. Pellegrini went really strong when we played at West Ham. Koeman did the same at Southampton. Hiddink went really strong when he was Chelsea manager against me, to the point of that was almost, I couldn't believe he went that strong on a Champions League week coming up. So the one common denominator with all the top managers, they never disrespect it. I think they put everything into winning the game the best they possibly can. So hopefully that'll be the case at the weekend.
Just a couple online. Ego, do you want to start?
Yes. Okay, well, so obviously right now Manchester City are going through their best moment. But on the other side, you're going through a great moment yourself as a team. But I don't know how you prepare a game like this, like compared to any other game you play in League One. How do you prepare yourself for a game like this? Do you change anything or your methodology, or you just prepare the game as another one?
Well, we're in League 2, firstly, so it's even harder because we're a league below where you thought we were. So it's going to be even harder for us. We will plan a little bit different, but we'll still have the same type of identity. I think one thing that really annoyed me when the draw came out, there was some clever sod saying to me that, oh, they're struggling, maybe you've got a chance of winning. And it was at no stage do you ever play a Man City. Weirdly, when Everton played Man City, I bumped into Dicey that night. And we were just chatting away, and he said they're still as good as ever, even though I think Everton got a point that day. He said they had to be at their complete best, and they felt that there was moments in the game that they were starting to look like the team that we all recognise. So at no stage have we ever looked at this game and thought that we're going to just get anything from it. We're just going to look that we're going to try and embrace it and have one or two tweaks, but try and be true to ourselves. But let me say, there's no team in League 2 who can keep the ball like these.
Okay. Anyone else? Connor?
Hi, mate.
Obviously, you spoke about the class 92 just now, but in terms of the Liverpool fans,
Oh, here we go. I wonder how long it takes someone to say that.
how surreal was it when, like, they get in touch with you and you talk about it for them and stuff, so maybe not for yourself, but your friends and family must be quite interesting given a spectrum of way to grow up. Not particularly like them.
They're a little bit two-faced, actually, because they all want tickets for the weekend. So, no, it's the M62 caused a few problems, doesn't it? And I can't say what I've been called by some of my mates, but I wore a coat once, it was a black coat, and we had to wear it, had 92 on it, and I got multiple texts from the lads, pictures from it, and sort of having a bit of a dig at me. So, but you know what? It's all part of why I love. People who know me, I love football. Like, I'm addicted to it. I don't so much like the industry as much, but I love the game. And I think if you love the game, you respect the class of 92. I think that's even the likes of the Liverpool fans as well. I think there's a respect there. But equally, when Liverpool were great, and even as great as what we are now, it's what Liverpool are, not we. There's an element of respect when people love football, when teams are good, and I think there's always been that element of respect. When it first came out, there was a few interesting texts that I got through my way, but it's all part and parcel. And by the way, let me tell you, I also got a bit of stick on Monday morning after the game on Sunday, because a few of the people around this were crying a Liverpool win in. And it's amazing how much they celebrated on Monday morning. They got a point.
Well, obviously, you started at the kind of very bottom of the culture, as in terms of Liverpool Academy, with the kids and stuff. We see a lot of youngsters now going into coaching at a lot earlier age than perhaps what we used to many years ago. Do you also see yourself as a bit of a trailblazer that, people do the hard grafting and they can rise through the ladder, because you look where you've got to now from where you started, it's quite the rise.
Yeah, I think obviously going and working with obviously some of the best, like I say, Trent and even Ben Woodburn who plays here. I have Connor Cody, people like that, Ryan Kent, Harry Wilson. Knowing them from 6, 7, 8 years of age, Jesse Lingard, who was with us at a very young age at the academy. So knowing them and seeing some of their journeys, Martin Kelly, who he had at 12, is now training with us and almost coming to the back end of his career. And then, like I say, doing over 700 games now, I don't think I ever thought this would be what I get to. I think I've been incredibly lucky. I don't see myself as a trailblazer at all. That's nothing to do with me. I just try and be more so now. I think we were saying before the podcast, I try to be more true to myself now, and hopefully that if there's some young coaches out there that the dream of playing isn't going to be a reality, that you can, by working hard and making sure that you do your best day in, day out for other people, not just for you, and you improve people and you want to be there for people, that people will follow you and want to play for you. And hopefully there's it's weird now, there's probably 7 of my players that have played for me that are managing against me. And it's weird because I'm younger than some of the managers who have played for me, and that's quite hard to sort of process. So it just shows you that I've been lucky. I've been really lucky, but I'm going to need to be more than lucky on Saturday.
Thanks, Phil.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Boys, that will go. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much. Thank you.